Hello, this is Rory.
And I'm Shane.
And this is WeenCast, Volume 2. And we are here to discuss a recent show that we got to see Ween up at the Terminal in New York City as part of the reunion tour.
Yeah, so we've been meaning to do this for a while, obviously. The first episode that we did of this was in February, believe it or not, and it's now July. So instead of talking about one of the old shows from our past, we wanted to do the one that we saw that was in between the first episode and now. So that was a few months ago already at this point. So I guess we are talking about the past, but whatever.
Now, life intervenes, and we both are busy folk. We don't have to get all into all the details.
Right. You know, it doesn't matter when it was from, really. That's kind of the whole point of the thing, is we're looking back on it, whether it was just a few days ago or a few months ago or a few years. It doesn't matter. But
nevertheless, I'm definitely excited to just have this WeenCast and hopefully the next one and whatnot, that because we do have the reunion going on now, and we're sort of, I feel like I'm in like a different mindset than I was even 3 months ago. It was almost like before Colorado, it was just almost like it was happening, but then you know, I won't believe it till I see it.
Absolutely. And you know, with the two sets of shows that have happened so far, I know there was one, we're talking about just Ween shows now, there was one in between the two at a festival in Florida, but we're talking about just Colorado shows and then the New York shows. It's kind of something that hasn't really been done before, because it's 3 nights for each one, 3 nights in Colorado and 3 nights in New York, with no repeats. And I don't know if Ween ever really did like a 2-night run or a 3-night run like that before. This is the first that I'm kind of seeing it.
Well, Ween has done definitely 2-night runs, because I know they did, you know, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day in Philadelphia in 1999 and things like that, and Halloween up in Vermont.
But not at the same venue. I mean, you could say they've done, you know, obviously a tour goes for X amount of nights in a row, but I mean, that was like, you know, 2 or 3 different venues. You know, this is like 3 nights in a row, same venue, completely different set list each night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think to me that's the distinguishing factor.
Right.
No, like I was saying, I not to argue about it necessarily, but I believe in 98 to 99 they played in Philadelphia 2 straight nights, but it definitely was mostly overlapping set lists.
Right. So it's really interesting to see, you know, 3 nights in a row, no repeats, and it's crazy. It's like, not only are they back, but you're seeing like some of the songs that you never heard live before, or you know, some really rare songs, just things you never thought you would see, you know, or you never thought you would hear live. I also just wanted to say, I'm not counting out the Colorado shows in any way, but I will say they weren't as good as the New York shows strictly because we weren't there.
Yeah.
It's a joke. But I was kind of thinking about, you know, the Colorado shows seem to have been a bit of an anomaly just because they're in such a large venue, and the New York shows, to me, kind of had that. I mean, we only saw one of them. I shouldn't get too ahead. We only saw the first night, but being in the Terminal 5 and seeing what that venue is like, I would say that group of shows was a little bit more in like the tradition of Ween. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it was a medium-sized venue. It definitely had a lot of people in it. It wasn't tiny, but definitely wasn't a huge amphitheater of any sort. It definitely wasn't like too overly large. I know that I listened to the Colorado shows, or at least part of them, and one of the impressions I got was it felt like they were really playing really fast. Like it was like they were rushing through the music, and not to be prejudiced against those shows, and I've only listened to a little bit, and I haven't been to those. I'm thinking that with the Terminal 5 shows, that they got a little bit more comfortable, because you remember it's been like 4 years or whatnot since the last time they played, or more than that. I don't even, it's been a long time since they played. So being in Colorado, they get a chance to kind of get familiar with each other, and by the time they're at Terminal 5, you got a sense that they're in a better groove. They're in musically a better groove.
Right. That's a good point. That's a good point as well. And I think that, again, not to say anything against the Colorado shows, or they sounded like they were great shows from what I listened to. I also didn't listen to all 3 nights, but I listened to, I would say, most of them, and it seems like at a place like Terminal 5, they're in complete control. You know what I mean? And also, they weren't necessarily afraid to get a little bit more out there and
a little more brown.
And just like fuck shit up if need be, or just like, oh, okay, what should we play next? Oh, okay, then throw this in the set list or whatever.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely my general sense of where they were at with Terminal 5 in terms of what they were willing to do. I think it's amazing that they had 3 straight shows and they weren't repeating, and everything was completely different. And I think that right there is a huge testament to the variety that Ween plays, and like the size of their catalog.
Absolutely.
That you can have 3 shows 3 days in a row that are every single song's different, and they're all amazing. Because I know that all through my experience with you and all the shows we've seen over the years, when we've tried to see multiple shows in a row or multiple shows in a tour, generally it's like almost all the songs repeat, and you're always sort of like looking for that. What are the couple songs that are like the special songs,
Yeah,
and
that weren't played like every night.
Like, oh, they didn't play this last time. But for this show, and in a minute when we get to actually discussing the show and all the songs and everything, it just seemed like every other song was like, boom, it was like, wow, I can't believe they're playing that, It was either, I know that there's at least one song on here that I don't remember ever seeing live. I could have been, too fucked up to remember, or just never heard it live. And there's a couple that maybe I've heard like once or twice.
Right. Definitely.
And so there's just so many like really, really good really serious gems on this show.
Well, should we just do a little bit of a backstory about how we got there and just what we did that night?
Yeah, we can take a couple minutes. Let's just like every other, let's just lay out how we got there and how that all went down.
So this is probably not as interesting as the first episode, because that was like, oh geez, I remember we were 16-year-old kids and we had your dad's car and this and that and blah blah blah. It was a bit of a story.
Well, now we're just like adults, and we're all grown up, and we got it all figured out.
Yeah, we're just like, we just drove. We just drove up to New York. But basically we planned that I would come down to Philly from Lancaster, meet up with you in Philly when you got done with work.
Yeah, we were timing it so that you would be at my house at the moment that I got off work.
Right.
Like the moment I got home.
Basically, we just drove. You drove the both of us from Philly to New York. We didn't take any trains or any kind of public transportation or anything like that. You basically just drove us.
Yeah, being in Philly for the last 6 years, getting really familiar with city traffic and all that, I just figured, because every other time we've gone to New York, like in my life or whatever, the few times we've gone, it's always been the bus or the train, and it's like, oh my God, don't drive into the city. It's like Homer Simpson, like don't drive into the city. And but no, I felt comfortable enough that we could do it. So I was like, dude, we're gonna do that because actually Amy, my wife, so she actually was the one. Her coworker got our tickets. So I remiss not to mention that he got the tickets for us. And anyway, she was planning on going straight from her job and then meeting him basically out in the suburbs of Philadelphia. And when I looked at the map and I saw what they were doing, because they were like, oh, take the train and we'll meet you halfway and we'll pick you up at the train and then drive the rest of the way. And I just knew, just intuitively, man, that's cutting it close, man. You know, like when we were getting off, like what we met at 4:30 or something?
Something like that. We tried to make it as early as we could, but it was...
And I know the earliest I could get off work was about 3:45.
Yeah.
So I feel like we met at 4:15, 4:20, and came in. I think I peed, and we jumped right back in the car, and we were on the road, and we stopped and got a couple snack and gas, and boom, we were on the road.
Yeah.
And so I just
and got right on the road, basically.
I just knew intuitively that meeting them and all of us going together, that was gonna make us late or something. So make it too rushed. So I was like, no, we're gonna go straight there. And no, and so the ride was really interesting in contrast to a lot of our shows. It was really eventless. It was more or less.
It's kind of one of those things where it was there's any one thing that could have happened that would have that could have messed us up going from Philly to New York, and somehow we made it without any problems at all.
Yeah, no, I mean we had
a little bit of traffic leaving the actual city of Philly, and a little bit of traffic when we got into the city of New York. But I mean, obviously that's something you're going to deal with, especially at a weeknight. It was Thursday night, which is April 14th. Thursday night. So it's what are you going to do? You're getting into New York City at what time did we get there then? 6 o'clock?
Right, right around 6, because we actually had found that, or we met up with someone, Gop, that he had found a parking space that it was only opening up at 6 o'clock, but he was there early, so he was standing outside his car so he wouldn't get a ticket, just waiting for 6 o'clock so he could walk away. And he told us to, pull up and meet me here because there's a spot right behind me, and then you got free parking for the rest of the night. I just got to stand here till 6 o'clock. I think it was 6 o'clock.
That was really awesome. All we did basically was call Gopper when we got to New York, and we're okay, what are you doing? What should we do? We're gonna meet up with you. Where are you? So he just told us okay, I'm on so and so street, which was only a few blocks away from Terminal 5. We actually went past Terminal 5. When we were coming in to meet up with him, we went right past the entrance, and then so he had found this street with nobody parked on it,
a half block away. It was right around the block.
Free parking. So it was not only did we have no problem with getting into town, but we found free parking on top.
Yeah, no, it was seamless. We really just drove right into that area and just Hell's Kitchen or whatever it is, and just basically parked.
Yeah.
It was completely not what you hear about going to New York City and dealing with the headache. It was really easy.
Right.
But yeah, so we met up with Gopper, and then I was on the phone with Amy and her coworker Jeff, I believe, and they were still running behind. They were oh, we're just pulling up into Penn Station, and so already that validated so glad we drove, because they're halfway across the city at the train station trying to get a cab, whatever, trying to get here, and we're just chilling.
Right.
But then, so we went with Gop. I don't remember the name of the bar, but we went and had a couple beers and some food.
Yep.
Really close to the...
We went to a bar, again, within walking distance of Terminal 5. I don't remember the name of it either, but it was on a corner. And a cool little place, pretty full. I would say it seemed to me to be about half full of people going to the show, and then there were definitely just some regular people in there, coming in for like a drink after work though.
Oh, and also you're like, your stereotypical Manhattan suits,
Yeah. There were there were people in there that were just, they had nothing to do with like going to the Ween show. They were just like there to have a drink because it was like prime time of like everyone gets off of work right now. So there was definitely a lot of those people as well. But you could tell there was a lot of people in there that were going to the show. And I talked to a couple of people just like, hey, you going tonight? Like, yeah, like we're totally going. Like this is gonna be awesome, whatnot. And then Amy and Jeff came to the bar and met up with us. So they weren't too far behind us. Maybe like 20 minutes to a half hour.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And and so we just had a couple beers, and then it was one of those things where we had driven by Terminal 5 right when we got into town, and there was like 5 people in line. And then after we got back from having dinner and like a beer, by then we were like, all right, we got to go down to the venue.
Yeah.
And man, the line was like around the block. It was like
down the street and around the corner.
One of the biggest lines I remember being in for Ween. Like, it was long.
Yeah, that was a pretty long line. The thing that kind of dawned on me when we were at the bar and going down and getting in line, that I hadn't really thought about before, we were talking about this, that was a pretty big deal because, not only was it the first time that Ween had played, besides the Colorado shows, it was the first time they played the East Coast together in like 6 years.
Yeah.
Because the last time was 2010 that they played New York City specifically.
Well, I think you were at that show, if I remember. Maybe you weren't. You were.
Well, I was at I had gone to the Central Park 2010 show, yes. Which there was a few shows that happened after that, just like shows in general. But we were kind of like, this is the first time they played like New York, New Jersey, Philly since 2010. So it was like it was a pretty big deal. I mean, it was sold out all 3 nights. And then when you got down and saw the crowd of people that were like waiting to get in, it was like, yeah, this is like a big fucking deal. And you've never been to Terminal 5 before. Neither one of us have been to that venue before, right?
No, I hadn't.
Yeah, that place was definitely really unique, I would say. I mean, like, it's a pretty big club, but I just remember coming in and there was just like, okay, you can go like to the left or the right, or you can go up these steps, but like you have to pick a direction and you have to like just keep going. Like I remember we went up like 4 or 5 flights of steps, and we got to some like outside bar or something, or some kind of like balcony.
Yeah. So
like, oh, this is not where we want to go. We had to go back down and find like the spots that we wanted. We tried to get on the second tier, like the second level, and it was pretty full by the time we got up there. So then we're like, okay, let's go up to the 3rd level.
Well, I would say, the only thing that I would say if I want to regret anything, not trying to call anyone out, but Jeff was like, oh, I had been here before. So he was sort of leading us.
Yeah.
And he had this idea that, oh, there's always this good spots way up top. And so he was like dragging us up. And I remember, man, going up each flight and like passing up spots on the railing on each level. And I'm like, we're passing up these pretty decent spots. And nothing the best, but we were way far in line. So we kind of lost hope of getting like the best seats for a standing room. But we kept passing up these spots, and then he let us out, and next thing you know, we were like, well, we're in like a weird smoking lounge that's not even like in the venue. And then we popped back in, and then we kept going, like I think we were up on the 3rd level. And we ended up being, because it was like a horseshoe, like each balcony is like a horseshoe.
Yeah.
With the band playing at the top. And
right.
And he ended up pulling us way up front. I feel like we were to the right of the band, we're the right side, But we were so far up that I couldn't even see the whole band. But
yeah, that was the only drag really about that night is like we didn't have a very good spot. I mean, we were right up against the railing on the uppermost tier, the third tier. So we were right up against the railing, but like when we were up that high and that far, like to the front, we couldn't really see. Like I couldn't see Claude at all. I could not see Claude or Dave really like.
No, see that was the thing. Like depending on exactly where you were, if you were right up on the railing or just like 2 feet away, you saw different things. Like I think all I could see was like Gina and Claude. Like I don't think I saw much of Diener. If I remember correctly.
Right on top of Diener, basically. Like we just when you look like straight down, like Diener was like right there.
But
the side that we were on, and
yeah.
you could see the two of them pretty well. But the other, I kind of remember. I don't remember really seeing Claude.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. So Claude. We saw Glenn. We could see. Yeah. Okay. You're right on. But we kind of, once we got there, we kind of got corralled in. And it was like, all right, well now we're kind of stuck.
Right.
I mean, what we could see really well. Like we definitely were close. So like me looking at Glenn playing piano, like I could see like every note he was playing. It was like kind of wild on that. But I still didn't have like a picture of everything, and that was sort of the problem. Is like I like wasn't getting the whole picture. But we were still like right on top of them.
Yeah. So that was kind of a drag that we couldn't really see the whole group from that spot. But I do remember thinking, we're all the way up here, and the sound was still pretty good. The sound was pretty decent for being all the way up in that top level, and I was kind of worried about that before they actually came on. I was like, are we even going to be able to like hear anything up here, or is it just going to be like loud? But I remember thinking that the sound even up there was pretty decent.
Yeah, no, my trepidation was that we were close to one set of speakers, and I'm like, wow, are those going to blast us out? We're not going to be hearing anything else.
Yeah, right.
I thought
it was just going to be so loud and just so like in your face that you weren't even really going to be able to like understand it. But it really wasn't that bad. I mean, it was loud, but it really didn't. It really didn't like.
Yeah, no, I mean the definitely the things that were problematic in terms of not being able to see the whole stage and everything and being kind of too tight up in there ultimately are minor details in terms of it was a hell of a show, and we were still like right on top of them to see like what was happening and like hearing it, even though we couldn't always see everything. So
right.
That's where I think just waiting for the show to start, and then I thought it was awesome, like the anticipation, being like, man, we're here again. So I have the set list in front of me.
Do you want to read the set list this time?
I can. You want me to just go down the list?
Sure, yeah.
So, and I'll try not to narrate too much about each one, but a couple things.
Well, just read the whole thing, and then we can go.
So, the Stallion Part 1, Roses Are Free, Happy Colored Marbles, the Stallion Part 3, Bananas and Blow, Your Party, Japanese Cowboy, Beacon Light, Even If You Don't, Freedom of 76, The Grove, Captain Fantasy, Don't Get Too Close to My Fantasy, Touch My Tutor, Mononucleosis, Boys Club, Pandyfackler, Chocolate Town, Little Birdie, Get a Little Taste of You, the HIV Song, Help Me Scrape the Mucus Off My Brain, Kim Smoltz, Pumpin' for the Man, The Golden Eel, Baby Bitch, Frank, You Fucked Up, and then for the encore, Licking the Palm for Guava, Mushroom Festival in Hell, and Someday.
That's a pretty fucking awesome set list.
That's an intense set list, and it was like a long show. It was 2 hours and 20 minutes, whatever, 2.5 hours. It was like a long show. It was a good show length, And like halfway through that, I'm just thinking like, oh my god, like I'm already like all the way through like a normal show.
Yeah. Well, we talked about, okay, what are they going to open with? You know, and I didn't really have any creative kind of answers. I was kind of just guessing, like, the typical stuff. So I think I had said, like, exactly where I'm at, or, fuck, now I can't even think of them. The typical set list, openers. You know, I didn't have anything, like, creative, because it was just like, well, who the fuck knows?
No, and I think they blew my mind when they said they started with the Stallion Part 1.
Oh my god, dude.
Like, that's like,
Part
to
one,
start a show with the Stallion Part 1?
You know, that's pretty fucking obscure. I mean, I'm 95% certain I had never seen that one live before. I'm actually looking at Brown Bass right now, looking at this set list, and it says that they played that song a total of 10 times. That's it.
Yeah,
10
wow.
times.
Wow.
But just the fact that they came out, played the Stallion Part 1, just blew my mind. And I was just, you know, like I said, we're up on the third tier, and I just remember standing there just being like, brilliant. Just, you know, do you know who you're fucking with? You know, like, fuck you know, you'll never bring
You're fucking with the motherfucking Stallion, man.
Just that whole, like, mentality of just, like, we're back, like, fuck you. That's how I felt in that moment.
Yeah, no, it was brilliant. It was brilliant, and I feel similar because it was like, this is real. And they're laying shit out that maybe we heard once or none. You know, like these are like rare tunes that they don't ever play live.
Yeah, totally.
So laying the lumber down like that, it's like boom, like knowing they were for real. But yeah, so I don't know if you have particular highlights that you want to sort of discuss, or
I made a couple of notes. I'm just looking at the set list here. Besides Stallion Part 1, I would say the next thing that kind of sticks out to me, Your Party. That's pretty early for a Your Party.
Well, and I was actually re-listening to the show, and I actually took notes, and it was like just the jazzy Glenn solo on the piano in that. You know, it's just like, that's what I love about Ween, is like they'll just throw in these like solos for the different artists, and just let them highlight something for a few minutes, and it's just brilliant. And you know, that I think that's actually the first sort of jam of the show was Your Party, where like they kind of went off in a song and Glenn had his solo.
Right.
I think the rest of the early part of the show was really just kind of standard songs up to that point. But yeah, no, I thought that was like, you know, early for Your Party, but like the Glenn solo was fantastic. Beacon Light was the next one for me that really stood out as one that I hadn't heard, I don't think, very often, and just like a brilliant song.
Yeah, I know I've heard that one before, but yeah, that's pretty rare. That's pretty rare too. Beacon Light, and just you know, it's just thrown in there like it's just another, you know, it's like it's just another tune. It's not even like late into the show or anything like that. You know, it's pretty early, and they just fucking busted that out. Like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me look at the set list here. Got Mononucleosis. I mean, that's pretty rare. I don't think I had ever seen that before.
Yeah, it was funny because just an hour ago I was listening to that song from this show, and for a second I'm like, what the hell is this? And I'm like, oh fuck, it's Mononucleosis. You know, like, it's just fucked up. I'm always a big, huge, like, sucker for, like, the Captain Fantasy and Don't Get Too Close to My Fantasy. So to have those back to back is like, that was fucking cool. I mean, those are like some of the classics, like, you know, sort of taking it back to like a little bit of the It's Just Pat movie, you know, kind of like, you know, the things that they were playing then. So I always think of those songs as some of my like favorite old school ones.
Right. Yeah, Pod and Pure Guava.
And of course, Boys Club, you know, little Boys Club. Boys Club.
Boys Club is the kind of thing where I really wonder if like that was actually written down, like, oh, okay, you know, we're going to play this as part of the set, or, you know, they just decided that the last minute, like throw it in there, like while they were in the middle of the show. But Dean made some kind of reference to somebody requested that, or something to the effect of, we have to play this in New York, because that's the home of the boys club, or something like that. Ridiculous.
No, and one that stands out to me also, Get a Little Taste of You. I don't know if I've ever heard that live before. And that's also really fucking cool because the Z-Rock Hawaii, and I remember, because you had that back in the day, Z-Rock Hawaii, and I remember fucking driving around with you and listening to that crazy fucking album.
Yeah, fucking Z-Rock is the shit, you know?
Yeah, no, Z-Rock is so fucking awesome and clutch. And like, and halfway through it, I'm like, we're jamming, we're just up there in the, watching the show, and in my head I'm like, oh, that's right, this is from Z-Rock Hawaii.
Yeah, well, he says that too, like, before they play that, oh, this is from Z-Rock Hawaii.
Yeah, no, and it's just like, I'm listening to it, I'm like, holy shit, that is what this is. Like, man, I haven't heard this in forever.
Yeah, I definitely don't think I ever heard that live.
Yeah.
What else?
The one that's the one that stands the biggest out to me. Like, actually, to be honest, I don't even know if I ever even heard that, period.
No, I think that was just new for, like, this year.
Like, I don't even think, like, I ever heard that on internet or an album or a disc or anything. I don't think, we were listening, I remember that and I was just like, man, this is, like, completely 100% new to me. Which, like, to have that happen at a Ween show at this point is like, oh shit, to hear something completely brand new was
when they played, I think they played that one of the nights in Colorado, and I think I had watched the YouTube video of it like once and was just like, oh, okay, this must be a new song, and that was about it. But it is a cool tune. I've listened to it a few times since we were listening to this show, and it is a cool song. I like it. What else? Frank is one of my, I think, all-time favorites. I think that's got to be in my, definitely in my top 10, if not my top 5. I fucking love that tune, and that was pretty jammed. That was extra long. So that was cool. Licking the Palm for Guava / Mushroom Festival in Hell, I have to say, is not one of my favorite closers. I've seen them do that a few times before. I still like it. I still like that jam, but it's not what I would have hoped to hear for an encore.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to have it end with Someday.
Pretty rare and cool, but not any of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean, Someday's pretty cool in terms of, like, that's like the mentally handicapped Aaron. Like, someday, So having him end with that is sort of another, like, F you, Like, no, we're not gonna end with 10-minute long, Buenos Stars Amigo.
Yeah.
Then we're gonna end with this.
I made a couple of other notes here. Pumping for the Man has the talk box solo, so Diener's on the talk box.
Oh yeah, nice.
The tube that like hooks up to I'm assuming it's hooked up to the guitar, and then I'm not exactly sure how that works. I don't know if you have to like suck air out of that tube or blow it. It looks like you suck air out of the tube.
You better just talk to Peter Frampton. Oh.
But I mean, if you stop and think about it, the fact that they did a jam, like a talk box solo jam out of Pumping for the Man, which is usually only like a few minutes long.
No, it's usually like a minute long. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's right. It's usually only a minute or two long, and it's just like fucking jam out fucking Pumping for the Man and make it throw this in there. It's like, this is so fucking awesome that they can just incorporate that with a song like that.
Yeah.
A song that's usually just so quick and like more towards like the punk rock end of things, and they can do anything with anything, really. I mean, it's just so fucking cool. The Pandy Fackler jam, if you want to talk about Glenn jams, I mean, that got really out there.
Yeah.
With some serious like prog rock shit.
No, I mean I am like a huge fan of Glenn,
Yeah.
and so like, yeah, him jamming out on that. Anytime he has an extended jam, it's just like worth noting. And Pandy Fackler is definitely one of those vehicles for Glenn, and he really laid it down. I mean,
Yeah, totally.
it's just going on and on. It's funny prog rock.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's, you know, it's interesting because Ween comes from so many different sort of sources and inspirations, and like it's funny to say prog rock because that's sort of part of what's coming in on that.
Totally, yeah. And I made a couple of notes about things that they said at different points that I thought were really cool. After your party is when Jeter just says, "This is a Ween show." Like, I don't know if he just couldn't believe it or, you know, he's just announcing it to everyone just so that they remember this is a Ween show. Like, that'd be so fucking cool.
No, it's classic Aaron, I think.
And after Pandy Fackler, Glenn, you know, obviously jams it out. Diener says, you know, Glenn McClellan, and then that's when he introduces the rest of the band. Dave, Claude, Papa Gene, I'm Diener, we are Ween. So that's really fucking cool.
Like 2/3 of the way through the show.
What's that?
I said that's 2/3 of the way through the show.
Yeah, right. It wasn't even at the end. You know?
Or the beginning.
It wasn't even at the end, and he's like, you know, he's introducing everyone like it's over, you know? But yeah, that was really cool. That's pretty much all the notes that I had. And it's funny because I kind of remember at the end of the night thinking like, oh geez, like what else could they have played that like they didn't play tonight? But there was 2 more nights of completely, you know, unique jams. Basically.
Well, and now's not the time to discuss and lay out every song that they played for all these other shows. But I do remember the next day or the next few days being a little envious of some of the other set lists. Except now I'm looking back and just thinking, you know what? I mean, everyone's different, and had I seen another night, I would have been envious of this. You know, I mean, they played Little Birdie.
Yeah.
They played Little Birdie. If they played Little Birdie this night, then that means they didn't play it at all any other night.
Exactly right. So it's just a perfect example of, you know, if you can only make it to one night out of something like that, which is what we did. You know it's going to be fucking awesome. You know it's going to be awesome. I will say that I listened to the whole thing of the next night, and again, I'm not going to like say anything negative about that show because I wasn't there, but there seemed to be a lot of slow songs that night. Just from listening to that, it's like, okay, slow song. Not that there's anything wrong with those, you know, but there's a lot more slow songs on Friday.
Well, and just looking at this list for tonight, for the night we saw it, I don't see any of the like sort of classic jam songs. You know, like some of the, you know, like a Buenos Stars Amigo or Can't Put My Finger on It, Poop Ship Destroyer, LNLYP. You know, like those ones where they just go wild for like 20 minutes. You know, like
right. That's
you know, this show didn't have those. So
there wasn't anything that went too long. That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But every night was different, and so I mean, I don't want to dwell too much on the fact that those were missing because of everything that was in there. I mean, if they had a Buenos Stars Amigo, then maybe I don't get Kim Smoltz, and
right.
I've never even heard Kim Smoltz before, so I'm damn glad that I got to be there for that.
That's very true. I mean, that's how a Ween show is, especially one that's 3 nights in a row with completely unique songs each night.
Yeah.
You know, you never, you know, it's like you gotta take what you can get and think, okay, then I wouldn't have heard this if I would have substituted with this or whatever. You know, so I'm completely satisfied with the night that we saw. It was fucking awesome. A couple of other notes. We were up on the 3rd tier, as we said, and it was really hot. That was the only other thing that
It's true. I was sweating.
It was very hot on that 3rd floor. I mean, it was still cold outside. This is, you know, the middle of April we're talking, so it was still pretty, you know, not cold, but, you know, chilly. But it was hot in there that night, at least on that 3rd floor it was. And there was a bar right behind us, and there was basically. So because it was so hot, I just kept drinking water, and I didn't want to have to leave during the show to go to the bathroom. So I just kind of just put it out of my mind. I didn't have to go during the show at all.
Well, let's get back to that story in a second because that sort of takes us past the show. But some of my other thoughts that I just wanted to sort of interject is just general thoughts about the show. Obviously being really psyched. I think something we talked about afterward was, it's not something that obviously it's something we've seen before, but how at the very end, like Aaron just walks off and then the rest of the band finishes off. Like things like that. I overall thought that I was really impressed in general with just like the performance and like how tight it was. Like I'm not saying it was the tightest Ween I've ever heard. That's for someone else to sort of listen and compare and figure it out. But I just thought, man, this is the 5th time they've played since 6 years ago or whatever. And like wow, they're really jamming it. They're really tight. A little bit of oh man, why did Aaron have to walk off? When like you're only playing this little reunion tour, you really got to play that game. It sort of harkens a little bit back to Aaron before, and obviously some of those things are things that he's trying to sort of not be part of who he is for the Ween reunion tour. But no, yeah, so then we got out and we get in the car, and what's great about that, since you mentioned all the water you were drinking, so on the way home, instead of just me and you driving ourselves, Amy and Jeff came with us. We were to drop him off in like New Jersey, where he lives. And it was just funny as hell to me, and also just ridiculous because you had to pee like a million times on the drive home.
I just had to. I was drinking water through the whole show, and like I said, I think I just kind of put it out of my mind. Like you will not go to the bathroom at all during the show. No,
I can see that because you're so psyched and you're so focused.
Because I didn't want to miss any of it, obviously, and I thought, okay, this place is like a fucking maze. If I go to find the bathroom, I don't know if I'll be able to like find my way back.
Like I don't even think, dude. I don't even think we were on the highway. I don't even think we were on the highway out of New York City, and you're like, dude, when you have a chance, I gotta pee.
Yeah, like as soon as we got in the car, it was just like bam, and like I just had to piss like so bad, and like immediately I'm like, hey, wherever you can stop, and we're like not even like out of the city yet.
No, and so we stopped somewhere, wherever, and then like 5 minutes later, you're like, man, I'm sorry. You're like, I'm sorry, man, I gotta pee again.
It was like as soon as I like peed, there was like 2 or 3 minutes where like I was good, and then it would just come like right back, and I would just be like, I'm gonna have to pee again in like 5 minutes.
No, it was.
We had to stop 3 times for me. It was all my fault. I'll take full responsibility for that, but we had to stop 3 times.
I know, because like then we stop a second time, and you pee, and then we get back in the car, and then like a few minutes later, you're like, dude, I'm sorry, I gotta pee. It's like,
I felt terrible because I had taken off work the next day, but you had to work, and I was like,
yeah,
like I feel awful because you're the one who has to get up in the morning and go to work. But I had to pee. I was like, dude, I'm so sorry, but I had to pee like 3 times.
Oh yeah, no, like for me, I was driving. It was like a no drinking show. I had to get up early in the morning. Like I had to, I was trying to be as chill as possible on all those accounts, so I could at least, even though I wasn't getting a lot of sleep, at least I could get into work and like be all right.
Yeah.
But no, I mean it was no worries. Like the few minutes that we had to stop wasn't problematic for me in terms of not getting sleep. It was just utterly ridiculous. But yeah, I mean that's kind of a ridiculous thing. But like whatever, like again, the trip was uneventful. Like we have a lot of other shows that we've been to that all kinds of whack shit happens on the way to and from. So
yeah. Okay, well, why don't we sort of wrap it up? I did want to say that if there's anyone out there who might be listening to this that was at all 6 of those shows, so basically basically like all 3 of the Colorado shows and all 3 of the New York shows. We'd love to get that. We'd love to have that person like tell the story of like all 6 nights.
Yeah, no, and I think that you're right on, and like in terms of like opening this up beyond us, like we obviously would love to hear input from people that have experiences beyond what we have and can expand upon some of the things. Not to say that we're trying to create an open forum, but both of our emails are available through the SoundCloud or podcast, YouTube, whatever the hell you're finding this shit on. Wherever we end up having everything on, like, you can get in touch with us and sort of, let us know if there's something that you can say about this show versus that show and things like that. For sure, we're trying to be open about this and we're not trying to be like ivory tower pretentious assholes,
Definitely not.
laying down our like judgment. I do want to say that we're both going to the Ween show at Penn's Landing in August, Philadelphia. I live in Philadelphia, so I'm really fucking psyched to have like a home show. I'm thinking there'll be a lot of like positive vibe because Philly for them was already so close to New Hope, and like there was always like a local vibe for them there, and so I'm really hopeful. I also know that I have a couple other friends that told me that they're going, so just different kinds of people I think are going to end up being there. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, there's going to be a couple of other people from our hometown that should be able to come down. That are planning on coming down. So hopefully we should have a good crew for the show. And it's just you look at any one of these shows that they played so far this year, and they all look amazing. I mean, you just look at the set list; they look amazing. They've been back in a serious way. I mean, no fucking around, and I mean they've been great.
Yeah.
So
no, absolutely.
It's gonna be awesome. Whatever they play is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, and so we got that coming up. That's about a month from now. We'll see. Maybe we'll get another podcast in the interim to get back to to our classic shows, but definitely we'll be podcasting about that one to keep going on this. But
yeah, this is something that we talked about doing, and it took us a while to sort of get around to it, and it took us a while to get back to it. But yeah, we want to make it a regular thing. And hopefully we can get some other people involved and get a good thing going.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So I guess that's about all I got to say. Anything else you want to add before we cut out here?
No, that's about it. That was a great show. I'm so glad we got to see one of those New York shows, especially the first night. I'm so grateful that we got tickets to that because all 3 nights were sold out. And just to see them at Terminal 5, I know that they played there a few times before they took their hiatus or before they broke up or whatever you want to say. So I knew that was like a really cool venue to see them in New York. So I'm just so glad we got a chance to see one of those shows.
Yeah, and I'm
totally was worth it. It was worth everything.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree. The only other thing that I would add is just how fucking awesome it is to get back to the Ween and have them play like they never left off. And, because the last several years, all I was seeing was like Dean Ween Group, Aaron Freeman, Junior does Billy Joel, all great shit, but it wasn't Ween. And like to get them back to Ween, like.
Oh yeah, right. Cool shows and unique in their own right, but it's just not the same without all 5 of them together.
Yeah.
It's just not,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Any Ween fan would agree. It's great to see any one of them do any project. And I'd go see any one of them anytime that I can. But it's just so amazing when it's just all 5 of them together.
Yeah, dude. No, there's nothing like it. And that's where the magic is. So,
totally.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think we cut off here, and everyone have a great night, and thank you for listening. And I am Rory, and
I'm Shane,
and we are WeenCast, and we'll get back to you.
#WeenCast on Twitter.
Yeah, that shit. right.
Totally, that's it.
Later, everyone.